In Rome, the air feels heavier than usual. There is a sense of waiting, a tension that lingers in the corridors of the Vatican, as if everyone inside is holding their breath, unsure of what will happen next. The latest actions of Pope Leo have not brought peace or clarity. They have stirred up old worries and given rise to new questions. Inside these ancient walls, people whisper about new appointments, high-profile positions, and unexpected confirmations. All of this is unfolding while Pope Leo XIV, the new leader of the Catholic world, appears to stand still, as if trapped in a decision that he cannot make or does not want to make yet. Is Pope Leo truly in charge, or has he, too, found himself caught up in forces much larger than one man, no matter how powerful his office might be? This is the question haunting the minds of priests, bishops, and ordinary believers as they watch events unfold. For more than 20 years, stories coming from the heart of the Vatican have followed a familiar pattern: scandals that break out, that outrage that fills the headlines, and promises of change that rarely come to life. The Secretariat of State, the nerve center that runs much of the day-to-day workings of the Church, often seems to move by its own rules, untouched by the troubles that swirl around it. One example which many find shocking is the case of Carlo Capella, a priest who was convicted and imprisoned in the Vatican for deeply shameful behavior, has now found his way back into a position within the Holy See's diplomatic service. First, he was brought back quietly, without an official title. Then, not long after, he was given a prestigious role. When asked about this decision, a Vatican official brushed it aside, calling it simply an act of mercy. But the faithful are left wondering, mercy for whom? Certainly not for those harmed by Capella's actions, nor for the many Catholics who must defend the honor of their church in front of a skeptical world. Even more troubling, despite requests from American authorities to extradite Capella, he was allowed to return to Rome, confident that he would be shielded and understood. The only real consequence for him was a change in title. He went from being called Monsignor to simply Reverend, but he still kept his active priesthood. This kind of story is not rare. In the past, others like Marshall and Bernard Law were protected or even rewarded with important church positions. Theodore McCarrick, who was involved in scandal after scandal, was sent abroad as a Vatican envoy. It is almost as if there is a script, one that the Vatican follows again and again. No matter how the world reacts, all of these decisions force people to ask, does Pope Leo really know everything happening around him? Is he unaware of how someone like Capella could be brought back into a place of honor, or does he see it and simply accept it? And most of all, does this new pope have the strength to break these patterns, or has he already become part of them? Pope Leo has given at least one sign that he wants things to change. In the case of Marco Rupnik, a famous Jesuit artist accused of serious wrongdoing, the Pope ordered that his images be taken down from official Vatican websites and said that Rupnik's trial should move forward quickly. This move suggests that Pope Leo is willing to act when necessary, at least in some cases. But for many, the question remains, will this be enough to break apart a culture of protection and quiet compromise that now feels rooted in the Church's system? Controversy is not limited to Rome. It stretches all the way to Latin America, where another storm has broken out. Carlo Castillo, the Cardinal and Archbishop of Lima in Peru, was recently confirmed by Pope Leo to stay in his position until his 80th birthday. News of this decision was met with shock and frustration by many Catholics, especially after the confirmation was reported by Gloria.tv. Castillo's record is filled with actions that have angered and hurt many in his community. Some say his decisions have even been more troubling than those made by other church leaders who are already controversial. When his predecessor, Cardinal Cipriani Thorn of Opus Dei, resigned at 75, there was hope for a new direction. But Castillo's approach has been anything but comforting. He allowed rituals that honored Pachamama Mother Earth inside the cathedral. He sang hymns to Mother Earth during the sacred liturgy, a move that offended many traditional believers. He even declared that no one converts to faith before the tabernacle, a statement that left countless people feeling wounded and ignored. Castillo also insisted that communion should only be given in the hand, even refusing to allow those who kneel to receive it on the tongue. He suggested that parishes should be given to lay people, not priests, just as is now done in some European countries. He called Europe decadent, yet he follows some of its most divisive trends. His statements about Christ have been even more shocking. He once said that Jesus died as a murdered layman and did not offer a true sacrifice, words that shook his community's trust in his leadership. On the administrative side, things look just as troubling. Over 20 priests were removed from their roles, simply because they were seen as too Catholic. The number of paid staff has grown much larger, and the highest salaries go to Castillo's trusted allies. At the same time, programs that once helped poor children like free meals have been cut. Finances, once healthy, now seem to be disappearing, and no one really knows where the money is going. With all of this going on, Pope Leo's decision to confirm Castillo is hard to explain. Was it a sign that the Pope agrees with Castillo's actions? Was it a move to avoid conflict with a group that is growing stronger in the Church? Or was it simply an act of weakness, a way to keep the peace by not challenging those who are now in control? These are the questions people on the outside are left to ask. What sort of church is being built with decisions like these, and who truly benefits from them? In the midst of all this, a new voice has risen to challenge Pope Leo's recent choices. Bishop Athanasius Schneider spoke out during a gathering with the Confraternity of Our Lady of Fatima. He reminded everyone that one of the Pope's most serious duties is to provide the Church with worthy and capable shepherds, leaders who will guide the faithful with care and wisdom. Schneider used strong words, saying, "When you choose bishops who sow confusion, who advance agendas that have nothing to do with the gospel, it's like putting wolves among the sheep." His words hit hard, serving as both a warning and a cry for help. According to Schneider, the Pope cannot simply look away and pretend he has no responsibility. Every choice he makes as Pope will one day be weighed on his conscience. Even though Pope Leo's time as pontiff has only just started, Schneider feels that some of his choices are already setting the Church on a dangerous path. In fact, he said that sometimes it is better to leave a diocese without a leader at all than to put it in the hands of someone who is ambiguous or compromised. Schneider also spoke about another problem, one that is quietly growing among believers: the persecution of those who love the traditional Latin Mass. He said that while the Vatican's leaders show patience for almost every group and every viewpoint, the only Catholics who are truly marginalized are those who wish to worship according to the old ways. This is not just a small issue for a few people. In Detroit, for example, the number of churches allowed to celebrate the traditional Latin Mass dropped from 28 to just 4 in one night. Schneider did not hide his feelings. He called this situation intolerable and pleaded with the Pope to free the ancient Mass, saying that the current restrictions are a real injustice. So far, Pope Leo has not responded openly to these sharp criticisms, but after such strong and clear complaints, everyone watching from outside is asking the same things. Does the Pope really believe this strategy is the right one? Does he truly think that by pushing away one group of faithful Catholics, the Church will somehow grow stronger? Why is there so much energy and effort put into suppressing those who are attached to tradition, but so much forgiveness for those whose actions actually harm the Church's credibility from within? The truth is that nobody outside the Vatican knows for sure what Pope Leo truly believes or wants. His actions, for now, seem to be sending mixed messages, sometimes suggesting that he wants to bring about change, but often looking like he is unwilling or unable to break free from old habits and hidden pressures. For many Catholics, this is a time of confusion and worry. The people who are supposed to be leading the Church are caught in their own struggles, facing criticism from all sides, and still the deeper problems remain. Every day, the news brings more reports from Rome. There are new appointments, old faces and new roles, and decisions that seem impossible to understand. All of this is happening while the world outside grows more divided and uncertain. Many of the faithful pray for clarity, for courage, and for the strength to speak the truth, even when it is hard to hear. They hope that the Church's leaders will remember their real mission to care for the flock, to stand up for what is right, and to offer hope in a time of doubt and fear. But beneath the surface, there are still more questions. Is the Pope being forced to make choices by powerful groups inside the Church? Is he surrounded by advisors who have their own plans, leaving him unable to act as freely as he wishes? Or is it possible that Pope Leo himself believes that compromise it is the only way to keep the Church from breaking apart completely?